Hi, my name is Michael Leach, and this is CMA Meets DSS. Yes, my name is Michael Leach. I am the State Director for the South Carolina Department of Social Services. We have a lot of resources that we provide. I'll go into each area as quickly as possible, but on the economic services side, we provide SNAP and TANF to children and families across the state of South Carolina. We also do early care and education, so we do licensing and do South Carolina scholarships, formerly known as vouchers, for families who meet those income criteria to be able to pay for childcare. We also have adult protective services, so we provide supports and services for adults 18 plus who are identified as vulnerable. We have child welfare, where we have child protective services, we have family preservation, and we have foster care. And we work with children who are brought into our system due to abuse and neglect, and work to make sure that we strengthen their family, and in the meantime, make sure that we have homes and foster families for these children. Also, we have child support. So we're collecting money through child support services each and every day, making sure that we collect monies and also distribute monies to custodial parents who are taking care of their children. So we have a lot of other programs also that Senior Farmers Market and refugee services and many other smaller sort of niche services that help support families and children and adults across the state. Yeah, I think that we, over the last probably 10 or 15 years, has not probably done a good job at doing that, meaning that our goal should be focusing on flourishing families or thriving families, or making sure that we provide the resources and supports to help families be where they want to be, right? And we have started focusing heavily on the prevention front end of sort of our milieu, meaning we have to meet families where they're at early on so that they don't get further and deeper into our system, potentially child welfare system, right? So how do we get families what they need earlier on, whether it's concrete supports or mental health supports or A&D supports, whatever it might be. And so we have been focused on working with many of our partners and communities to get some lived experience and voice into the system so that we understand what they need. And a great example would be recently in Orangeburg, where Family Solutions opened up a new resource center hub. And it is a hub that has a lot of different type of services that can meet the family's needs that the families in that community said we need. And we hope to do more of those things over time. But I think the first thing you need to have, one, is money, but two is lived experience and voice into the system to say, here's what we need to be successful. We are an agency within South Carolina that is 24/7, 365. We have employees, we have professionals, we have 4,500 professionals, and many of those are working all hours every day into the night. As children may be brought into foster care, or connecting families to SNAP or TANF or to employment services, which is something I failed to mention earlier. We are on the front lines of making sure that we meet the needs of instability, whether that's some financial instability or food insecurity or many of those things. We serve, in SNAP alone, we serve over 600,000 individuals right now. In child welfare, we have 3,483 children are in foster care, right? Trying to make sure that we hopefully get those children back to their families, and if not, we work towards getting them an adoptive family. We have a variety of things going on every single day that are focused on trying to help families be the best they can be, and give them some resources so that they don't have to, struggle. And so I think that's what makes us different is we are seeing families every day. We're connected to families, and I'm talking adults and children, and it's nonstop. It is nonstop trying to help. I get examples every day in my emails of the concrete supports, examples of concrete supports we do to make sure that families can stay in their homes, right? Whether that's fix ceilings or clean homes or provide plumbing improvements so that children don't have to be removed or adults don't have to leave their homes. I see those things on a daily basis of things that we're doing to make sure that we help families. Foster care, child welfare is extremely complicated, right? We have 68,000 calls coming into our hotline annually with reports of abuse and neglect. Now, only about half of those actually have an investigation to CPS. And then even a small amount of those actually lead to a finding of abuse and neglect. But we do have children coming in every day and then exiting every day, either to adoption or home or to kin. But a third of our young people are teenagers. And we lack foster homes and appropriate placements for many of our teens. And that's a struggle. That's really hard because many of our young people, they need families. They need people, connected, caring adults who are going to provide that support for them, even when they're making teenage decisions, right? And there are some who do age out of the system. And the data across the country of young people aging out of the system is not good, right? And so there has to be better work along the way. We will soon roll out extension of foster care, which is a program for 18 to 21-year-olds that can provide financial support, case management, placement options, and hopefully now monthly stipends so that they can fund housing and other things so that they can be stable for that period of time. It's hard. At 18, a lot of young people aren't ready. And when you're in the foster care system, it makes it even harder. So we have some things that we're rolling out that I think are going to be very helpful for our young people. But the thing that we have to do better is connect them to caring adults earlier on. That's success, right? When you have those people, you have a better chance of success. We see, and this is a great time to say, we see disproportionality in the system. There's inequities in the system. And we see the need for, many of our Black children. We need, foster parents, Black foster parents. We also need to make sure that these children aren't coming into the system because of their heritage or color. So meaning, we get a disproportionate amount of calls on Black and brown children coming into the system. So the professionals who are making calls, there is something called implicit bias or explicit bias, right? That exists. And that leads to somebody maybe calling on somebody of a particular, race than another race. We know that data. We see it. We know there's disproportionalities. We also have disproportionalities of screen-ins, meaning our CPS investigators may screen in cases at disproportionate rates for Black and brown children. We also see a higher rate of Hispanic Latino children coming into foster care at higher rates than others. Knowing that data and being aware can help you look at what policies, what laws, what things are driving that, what education and awareness is needed. So hopefully that you can change that, right? Because it's not fair, it's not needed, it doesn't help anybody. It actually causes more trauma to families. And now I've seen the data improve over the last 4 years, but it still exists. So it's better, but not where it needs to be. In general, yeah, our job is to make sure that we, like in SNAP and TANF, right, create access for everybody, right? And we know that there are access issues due to transportation or being in a rural area of the state, right? But those are things that there shouldn't be access issues because of a race or a minority, right? Everything should be level as far as how to access, how to get the services, get approved for the services. And so we work diligently on what policies need to be addressed when we look at the data to see if there's anything that is, disproportionate in nature as for the rates go. Again, foster care is one that you see across the country. And you see it in South Carolina. Again, we are sitting down looking at the policies and the laws and everything that may contribute to the disproportionalities or the inequities in the system, so that we can address that. Black and brown children may stay longer in the foster care system, right? They may age out at higher rates. All of those things, when you know that stuff, you know that we need to figure out what are the things that need to address that. Now, I don't have the answers, but there are ways that we can start working with policies and things to address it. Well, DSS, again, serves 1 in 6 citizens in South Carolina. During COVID, it probably even got to 1 in 5 because of some of the additional services that we were providing through some of the funding sources that have gone away. There is a need. There's a greater need. We're seeing, extensive mental health needs, especially with our teens, right? We're seeing drug use that's affecting our families, housing issues, livable wages are not where they need to be. And that creates additional stress and burden for families, which potentially could lead to abuse and neglect, right? So I think we have to keep thinking upstream, what services are available to families, what services we need to add to our milieu. We have been building lots of in-home family support services through our through many new contracts that we're working on. We're trying to build up a lot of kinship navigator work so that we address a lot of the supports for kin, grandparents, aunts and uncles, things like that, who need services as they're taking care of their grandchildren or nephews or nieces. Trying to build, again, more supports up on the front end of prevention. Making sure that people, again, can access our services. And so that means technology improvements, right? You don't have to go into an office for child support so much anymore because you can do everything online. That's not the same with all of our services yet. And so we need to be able to make sure that people don't have barriers, transportation barriers, rural barriers to be able to access services and supports and get what they need. So we got a lot of work to do in that area. Just improving, policies around this work and advocating with the federal government to make sure that some of the things that we are asked to do from them is in the best interest of families. Many policies are not, from the federal level to the state level. And so how do you advocate to change those things so that it doesn't harm more families and actually helps families? Yeah, I think the easiest way is going to our website at dss.gov, South Carolina, dss.gov. And that has everything how to access SNAP, right? How to be able to go online and get an application, right? Child support, what does that look like? If you're interested in fostering, there's a whole link in there, and you go to Heartfelt Calling and they'll help you through that figure that out. And a lot changes regularly, right? And so we're always saying, go check that out, because we're updating that regularly to make sure that people know of our services. Our social media on Facebook tries to keep people up to date on everything that's going on and all the changes that we have pending. But that's probably the easiest way to be able to access any of our services. And through that, you can find our constituent services. And so people, when they just have questions, we just have a whole team and they just answer questions. And so that helps get people where they need to go. Yeah, it's actually probably one of the best questions I've had in the last 4.5 years. And here's why. we are in the middle of a lot of different things, right? We have, on the child support side, we have a custodial parent and a non-custodial parent, right? Who are dealing with their children and money, two really important things that we all, it can be very emotional. And so there are decisions made that somebody is always going to be unhappy, right? And then DSS is going to be at fault for whatever that is. And we're okay with that, as long as we make sure that the decisions we make and the decisions that the court makes and everybody makes is in the best interest of the family, right? I want DSS to be known as somebody can go to and say, hey, I need help, without any judgment, without hopefully too much burden as far as all the things you have to complete to get the help you need. A guide, someone to walk alongside you and hold your hand and say, let's figure out how to get you to where you want to be. That's what I want. Unfortunately, we're labeled as somebody who takes your children away, right? And there are children who are in our system because of severe abuse and neglect. We have to make sure children are safe. We have to make sure we do our due diligence on that. But at the end of the day, I would rather not have to have any children in foster care or have anybody needing the service, because their needs are being met and they're supported well before having to deal with us. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael Leach, and this is CMA Meets DSS.